You're watching the RebZone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Straight ahead in the RebZone, the battle for the Fremont Cannon and the fight for bowl eligibility. Both on the line and both denied in Reno. Head coach Tony Sanchez is in studio to break the game down and talk about the focus of the program moving forward. Plus, a big week for the Runnin Rebels, who continue to roll. We've got 30 minutes of the RebZone on deck right now.
This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Good evening. Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bolinger alongside UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez. Coming off a game that was a huge opportunity that really got away. You outplayed UNR for much of that game, but just couldn't get that door closed when you needed to.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's hard to wake up on days like this. We've got a great senior class. They accomplished a lot together. Really did a great job of moving this program forward. And for them and for all of our supporters and everybody, really wanted to go paint that cannon red and get ourselves into the postseason for the 5th time, and didn't happen. So again, really disappointed. There were some good things that happened this year, but man, that was the end of an interesting year. So we just got to keep our heads down and keep on working, and we'll go from there.
Well, let's start breaking down this Cannon game here, beginning with the first half, where it was a dogfight from the opening kickoff.
This opportunity, guys, this is for you. This is for nobody else, for you. Carpe diem, boys. Carpe diem. Seize the damn day.
It's one play at a time. Win your battle today. It's each one of us win the battle. We're going to win the damn war.
UNR received the opening kickoff, and it took only 3 plays to get into the end zone. Ty Ganji over the middle to Wyatt Demps for a 22-yard score. Mike Hughes Jr. would block the extra point. It was 6-0 Wolfpack just 57 seconds in. The Rebels started strong on their first possession. Armani Rogers to Devontae Boyd for 22 to the 47. But the drive stalled after a backwards pass to Lexington Thomas isn't caught. That led to a loss of 21 and forced a punt. UNR had a 3rd and 7 at their 23. Ganji picked off by Jericho Flowers, and UNLV takes over at the Wolfpack 38. On 3rd and 10, Rogers uses his feet. He races for 24 yards and a first down at the 14-yard line. But on play action, Rogers hit. He fumbles the football. Lawson Hall would recover, and the red zone opportunity ends. The defense held, and the Rebels got the ball back at their own 12 and put together a nice drive. Rogers to Darren Woods Jr. for a 28-yard gain. Xavier Campbell grinds out 12 yards to put the ball in the red zone once again as the first quarter came to an end. 3rd and 9 at the 12. Rogers rolls around the left side, lowers his shoulder, and vaults into the end zone for the touchdown. UNLV goes 88 yards in 12 plays, and the Rebs had the lead 7-6. The Wolfpack started a drive of its own. Ganji to Demps, who breaks tackles, but Brian Keys forces the fumble. Jameer Outsey scoops it up, and he's heading the other way, all the way down to the UNR 40. A personal foul on the Wolfpack put the Rebels in business at the 25. Rogers hit Presley to get the ball down to the 12. But once again, the drive stalls. UNLV settled for an Evan Pantel's field goal that would extend the lead to 10-6. The D forced a 3 and out and another drive as Lexington Thomas would shuffle his way through traffic for 13. UNLV would get as far as the 20, but no TD. Pantels would connect on a 37-yard field goal. That made it 13-6. Just before the half, UNR drove down the field. They kicked a field goal with 21 seconds left. Both teams went into the locker room at halftime with UNLV leading 13-9. So UNR scores in 3 plays right off the opening kickoff, a punch in the mouth, but it really seemed to wake the defense up. They were pretty solid there the rest of that half.
Yeah, I mean, that's frustrating. You go out there and they go down and score that fast. They ran a wheel route in our corner, went in with the post, and the wheel route outside was uncovered, so they were able to get a big chunk and then turn it into a free access throw over the middle. But we settled down, and for the most part, until that last drive of the second half, played pretty well on defense, creating some turnovers, a little opportunistic. And then offensively, they, we needed to capitalize a little bit more in the red zone.
Yeah, we've had an ongoing conversation all season long about red zone conversions and having to get field goals instead of touchdowns, and certainly not coming up empty-handed. And that was the killer, because going into the locker room, there was a lot of points left on the board.
No doubt. The most frustrating one was the second possession when you have first down to the 14 going in and we end up fumbling the football and you don't get any points out of that. That can happen. And then later on in the game, that red zone came back again where we ended up having to kick some field goals. So, if you're going to win these type of games, you've got to be able to punch some of those into the end zone. If you do that, you extend that lead. You
get the team into the locker room at halftime. You've outplayed them in the first half. The team had the right frame of mind. They weren't over-emotional like a lot of times in a rivalry game you see kind of a business-like. What was the message?
It was just come on out. We needed to come out and start fast in the second half. We were getting the ball back. We wanted to go down and extend that lead, at least get it to a 7-point lead and, start pulling away. And we knew that throughout the duration of the game. Again, it's a rivalry game. They're going to keep playing hard, and they're going to take their shots. They had some trick plays they converted on, and reverse passes and things like that, that kind of hurt us down the stretch. But we knew it was going to come down to the wire. We just needed to go ahead and finish.
Well, let's go to the second half right now where the frustration would start to mount. The Rebs had the ball to start the second half, and the offense quickly went to work. 3rd and 4 at their own 41. Rogers tucks it and runs for 10 into Reno territory. 3rd and 2 at the Wolfpack 41. Rogers again keeps it for 5 and the first down, but they would get no further. Pantel comes out and nails a 53-yard field goal. The lead was back to 7 at 16-9. The defense immediately forced a 3 and out, and UNLV was back in business. Rogers to Brandon Presley on the sideline for 27 yards to the Reno 29. It was 4th and 1 at the 9. UNLV decides to forego the field goal and goes for it, but Thomas is stuffed. UNR gets the ball back and the momentum. They took advantage. 1st and goal at the 9. Ganji's pass almost picked off by 2 Rebels, but it falls to the ground. 2 plays later, Ganji to Trevion Armstrong in the back of the end zone. UNR goes 91 yards in 11 plays. We were all tied up at 16 with 41 seconds left in the 3rd. The Rebels went 3 and out, and the line drive punt by Pantels is returned 34 yards to the UNLV 29. But on 4th and 1, the defense makes a stand. They snuff out the Wildcats to get the ball back. The Rebels would go 3 and out, though, once again, setting up Reno for the key drive of the game. Ganji over the middle to Andrew Sellis for 27 yards to the UNLV 34. Later in the drive, 3rd and goal at the 1. Kelton Moore would ram it in. UNR had the 23-16 advantage with 7:34 left in the game. One last gas for the Rebels. On 4th and 1, Rogers grinds for the first. Then he hits Woods for 15 more into Wolfpack territory. Rogers uses his legs. He gets 14 to the 30. 3rd and 2 at the 22. Rogers gets the call again, but he goes nowhere. That would set up 4th down. Rogers gets back to pass, going to Woods, but it's overthrown. The Wolfpack would take over and put the game away. A disappointing end to a great opportunity as the Cannon stays blue. 23-16, the final.
I feel like we left something on the table, but I no doubt, I feel like we put everything out on the table as well. I feel like we made a few mistakes, but everybody's going to make a few mistakes here and there.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily a failure of a season. We've picked it up every year, but I mean, when you're a senior, you can't take slow progress. You're pushing for as much as you can get.
So you had a chance to kick a field goal and get a 2-score lead. You decided to go for it on 4th and 1. Take us through the thought process on that decision.
Yeah, I mean, that took about 2 seconds. I mean, you have a 7-point lead. We've been so good all year on 4th down, especially 4th and 1. And to me, that was just a no-brainer call. Worst case scenarios, they're going to have to go 91 yards or score, which they did. but you go ahead and you get 1 yard, and you're going to extend that lead by 14 points, and you're probably going to put the game away. So that's what you do. And Reno did the same thing later in the game when we got the stop. So you got to be aggressive in those situations, and we've done it all year, and it's really helped us. And they were tougher than we were on that situation.
The offense seemed to struggle a bit. You've been averaging around 30 points a game and only put up 16. After you've gone back and looked at the game a little bit, how do you put your finger, besides the red zone conversions, of why this offense struggled?
Well, the one thing we've been so good at this year is explosive plays, and we didn't have any explosive plays in this game. We didn't have any of those big, long runs, big pass plays for touchdowns. It was really workmanlike. We moved the ball down the field, had to settle for some field goals. You have the turnover on the 14-yard line, and then on the 4th down, that's another turnover essentially on the 9-yard line. So, there's two defenses that have given up a lot of points and a lot of yards, and both defenses actually played pretty well yesterday. And it's unfortunate. The hardest thing is, you watch Armani and talking, a minute ago, and you see Mike Hughes and those kids. I mean, they just a great group of guys. They fought their tails off. They've done a great job of making this place better. You just really wanted it for those guys.
A big play that maybe a lot of people overlooked was the missed opportunity on the interception, in which they scored right afterwards. You get two guys with a chance to get the ball, and the ball falls to the ground. That's a big swing in the game. That ball's got to be caught.
Well, we had two of those. He had one before they kicked the field goal at the end of the half, where the ball was, went right off keys, and they ended up kicking the field goal. And then later on there, and, it's no fault of anybody's. They're both playing hard, but, you get that free access interception. You take care of that. All of a sudden, you're still in that tight game with the football. So, yeah, those are the things. Again, they always talk about it's a game of inches, and right there it showed it.
We're going to take our first break right now. The big question, what's next for the Rebels as they continue to build this program? We're going to talk recruiting needs, the approach on the offseason, and we'll get an update on the construction of the new football facility on campus. All that straight ahead as the RebZone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
So let's talk about the growth of the program here over the last 3 years since you've been there. 12 wins. The previous two coaches had 6 wins apiece in the first 3 years of their tenure. You could see the difference in this team in terms of how the program is building, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So as we move forward here, how does this program continue to grow and build?
It's an interesting deal. You look, and we've taken a lot of baby steps, and we really want to start taking strides. We've gotten better 3 years in a row. We're way more competitive. Each game we're in, we actually have an opportunity to win the game, and I think that creates some frustration, which is a good thing. Infrastructurally, we've done a great job of going out and fundraising. We're finally going to build some facilities and make some investment in this program that hasn't been done in years around here. This year we go out and we get to recruit 25 guys to bring them in. This year we went into the season with 72 scholarship players with a couple injuries. All of a sudden you're in the 60s. This will be the first time we've had 80 scholarship players on the roster since I've been here. So that should help with some of the depth issues, special teams, an injury here and there shouldn't set you back so much. We were much better at it this year than we were 2 years ago. But even at the end, you saw a little bit with some of the old linemen out. We weren't as physical up front at the end of the year. Having our, 2 of our linebackers out, the depth isn't there where it needs to be. Some of those things should be addressed through the recruiting process, which is exciting. And we got a great group of young guys coming back. You got Armani Rogers, got a great career in front of him. Lexington Thomas had an amazing year, and he's coming back. Charles Williams, that broke the school freshman rushing record, will be back after having a redshirt year this year, getting injured. Defensively, Jericho Flowers, looking at the way he played towards the end of the year. There's some really great young players, so Dadashian, a bunch of guys. So I think with the depth, with the guys we're bringing in, with some of the infrastructural investment that we're making in this program, I think the vision of Len Jessup and Desiree Reed-Francois, I think there's a lot of vision and a lot of energy right now into moving this program forward, so we're excited.
When you look at your recruiting class for this year, how do you balance it to bringing in people that you can bring along as true freshmen, but then also going for the spots where you need immediate help, especially on the defensive side of the football for senior graduate transfers and JC guys? Yeah,
that's one of the biggest things. You see what a difference it makes when you can redshirt certain players. You look at what it did for Armani Rogers. You look what it did for some of our guys that were able to redshirt that needed to. We had to throw a lot of guys into the fire too fast, early on in our tenure. Now we're to the point now where, offensive line-wise, you're recruiting guys that you can get in the weight room, feed them, build them up, and you don't need to throw them in right away because we have so much depth there. That's just one area. Defensively, we definitely need to add some depth to the roster. roster. You know, we're going to have to bring in an older and a younger guy in the linebacker spot. In the safety spot, we'll bring in some older guys and younger guys. By older, I mean some JUCO guys. You don't want to do it too much. Corner spot, a couple young guys, one older guy. And then the defensive tackle spot, we're going to bring in 4 guys this year, probably 2 older and 2 younger. So great thing about having 25 scholarships is we can go ahead and bring some guys in that can make some immediate impact, but we also can invest in the future because you don't want to wholesale and go all JUCO. You want to, bring in a couple guys that can make a difference, but then at the same time, you still have 18 or 19 spots where you're going to bring in younger guys to keep building with. Real quick, when does that facility break ground scheduled to? January is we're scheduled to break ground. I don't have a firm date yet, but from talking to our leadership, that's the date they say, and it'll be good. It's been a long process, but tell you what, it's going to be great to see that thing start to go up. We're looking forward. We're going to continue to follow the progress of that as well. Time for us to pay a few more bills. When we return, we're talking some Runnin Rebels, a 3-game week, including a tournament over at T-Mobile Arena, and a home matchup against a familiar face. All that in just 2 minutes. Stick and stay.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
The Runnin Rebels had a big week, and the biggest win of the week was Wednesday night against Utah out at the T-Mobile Arena.
The Runnin Rebels and Runnin Utes at T-Mobile, and Brandon McCoy showed that he would be dominant early. The feed inside, and the big man gets the bucket and the foul. Then the scoop shot for the and one. The three-point play gave UNLV a 3-point lead. Speaking of threes, JoJo Mooring hit a couple late in the first half. Then Jordy Johnson with the dish to Chekna Dembele for the two-handed flush. The Rebs led 43-33 at the break. UNLV kept their foot on the gas in the second. Johnson with the dish to McCoy, and he throws it down. A 6-0 run to start the final 20 minutes. Then JoJo, the corner pump fake. He gets hammered, but he makes the three anyways, and the fans go nuts. The capper from McCoy as he makes the move to the hole to get the hoop and the harm. He had 26 points and 17 rebounds. The Rebels dominate and earn the championship belt as they punish Utah 85-58.
We missed some early shots that we normally make, so it was just sticking to the game plan. And, the way we pressure the ball and get into the passing lanes, we're just able to wear teams down. So we just continue to build on it, and eventually they just wore out.
My teammates, they kept the game up. We never, I don't think we ever gave up the lead, so I wasn't too frustrated. I just know that when I got in, I was just going to have to match the same intensity that they was matching. That's the only thing I was worried about.
It was a very good team we beat. I mean, this score isn't indicative. If we played them 10 times, I'm sure this wouldn't be the result all 10. But tonight we were good, and great appetizer before Thanksgiving meals.
Well, that championship game was set up by a semifinal win Monday night against Rice. Vince Sapienza with the highlights.
The new-look Runnin Rebels rocking the gray uniforms tonight at T-Mobile Arena. Now, this team may be young, but they appreciate history. Chris Clyburn keeping the three-point streak alive at 1,010 straight games with the deep ball, 5-0 UNLV. Leading the way for the Rebels on offense this year is freshman Brandon McCoy, and the 19-year-old continued his early season dominance, showing his strength is greater than his age. McCoy added another double-double to his resume, scoring 23 and 10, Runnin Rebels up 28-14. But the Scarlet and Gray were just getting started. Jovan Mooring with the stop, pop, and drop, dialing one up from distance, add the foul for the 4-point play. Now, how about the biggest defensive play coming from the smallest guy on the court, Jordan Johnson with the steal, known for his passing, keeps it himself. He gets 3 the hard way. UNLV put together a 21-4 run late in the half. Runnin Rebels led by 27 at the break. Second half we go. UNLV showing that extra effort on the offensive end. Tervel Beck coming off the bench and making an impact. Gets the board and the putback. He finished with 13. Chris Clyburn looking more like Chris Glideburn as he gets to the hoop with ease. It's a 31-point Runnin Rebel lead. And then late in the game, Jordy putting this one out of reach, calling 3-ball corner pocket. He was 4 for 6 from beyond the arc. He finished with 18. 4 different scores finished in double digits as the Runnin Rebels stay perfect, 95-68.
And on Saturday night, the Runnin Rebels hosting Southern Utah. Former UNLV interim head coach Todd Simon, head coach up there in Southern Utah. Just before the half, Jordy Johnson making the nice move to the hole. He goes high off the glass. UNLV took a 50-38 lead into the locker room. Southern Utah, though, would hang tough in this one. Brandon better with the jumper. This was a tight game in the second half, but the Runnin Rebels would pull away thanks to Johnson. The penetration and a nice shot right there. He had 24 and 14 assists. Shakur Justin also with a nice effort, throwing it down with 2 hands. 22 points and 16 rebounds for Shakur. The Rebs take care of business down the stretch. They move to 6-0 with the 101-82 win. Challenging week ahead, though, for them. The first road game of the season at Northern Iowa on Wednesday, and then a Saturday night showdown with Arizona at the T&M. We're coming right back with some final thoughts from Coach Sanchez and the Rebel plays of the week right after this. But before we go to break, here's a look at how other Mountain West teams did over the weekend.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
All right, so the offseason begins. There's really no offseason in college football anymore. You guys are right to work on the recruiting trail.
We are. I've got a team meeting at 5 o'clock, say bye to some of my seniors and talk to the young guys about their plan. And then 8:30 tomorrow, we head on out and hit a couple different states and get back here. We got official visits next weekend. Go watch some Runnin Rebel hoops on Saturday and, just keep building and keep grinding.
Spring practice before we know it.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach, thanks for a great year in the RebZone. We appreciate it. Thank all of you as well for joining us throughout the football season for the RebZone. We're solely focusing on hoops starting next week. Marvin Menzies will be here in studio, but we leave you tonight with the Rebel plays of the week. Thanks for joining us and good night.
Win your battle today, and when it doesn't go your way, pop back up and get after it, okay?
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, someday these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of these good old days.
I was thinking about the band, I was thinking about the fans. We were underground, loading merch in that 12-passenger van in a small club in Minnesota, and the snow outside of First Ave. I just wanted my name in the star. Now look at where we at, still growing up, still growing up. I would lay in my bed and dream about what I'd become. Couldn't wait to get older, couldn't wait to be some. Now that I'm here, wishing I was still young. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, that someday these would be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. 'Cause someday soon you.
The Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show was presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.